Hi, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the Wicked Bee of the West YouTube channel. My name is Stephanie Diana Eubank. I'm a doctoral candidate at Concordia University of Chicago. I also teach operational management, supply chain management, and lean operations at Stan State. So today I want to discuss a really interesting concept about ADHD and neurodivergent methods of being accommodating that can actually be implemented into both leadership and followership tactics to create boundaries that are healthy and be able to create a more healthy and productive work environment. And in doing so, let's talk about what is called ADHD or popularized and called ADHD rage. Now, ADHD rage is an interesting concept because ADHD rage is what it looks like in person is you will be at work in your cubicle, your office, whatever, really in a hyperfixation, focusing on your work, really being productive, getting the job done, really into what you're doing in a groove, however you want to describe it. And someone walks in and goes, "Do you have a minute?" I do, but I was really into what I was doing. And we all know that feeling. And the best way to describe that feeling is to remember in Harry Potter's The Deathly Hallows when Luna Lovegood says, "I can see the thought in your eyes dimming." And that is what happens for us. We lose our focus, we lose where we were, and all of that wonderful creative energy that naturally occurs for neurodivergence is gone. Just poof, poof, the bowl is empty. And it enrages us, especially if we're really in our fixation, really in our zone, and people just walk up and no knock, no nothing, just hey, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And so for many with ADHD, this can come in the form of rage as what? But for others, it is more explosive, and that is a sign of mismanaged ADHD or other neurodivergent um, symptoms that needs professional help through a psychologist. And again, promoting that if you're seeing that in the workplace rather than stigmatizing the mental health field is a great way to help support your colleagues. This being said, when you want to be able to support your colleagues in creating an environment that promotes more creative problem solving, along with giving accommodations so that you can really cultivate your diverse workplace culture, is to set some appropriate and healthy boundaries, whether you're in a leadership role or a followership role. And I have found in my research, followers don't know that they're allowed to ask for this kind of thing. They don't know they're allowed to ask for anything. Or especially if they're disabled, they don't know that they can get their accommodations met by management because they've never been taught that it was okay to ask. And oftentimes that stems from a fear of the conscious and unconscious bias of others with regards to disabled discrimination. And that is a whole nother TED talk. But in this case, there are healthy boundaries leadership and followership can set to be able to keep their productivity up and keep the distractions down to a minimum. However, this only works if they're in remote. Doesn't work in hybrid, doesn't work in person. It is very difficult to set appropriate boundaries in person and in hybrid modality to really crank out that productive and creative uh, planning and problem solving for this issue, which is another reason I advocate so hard for remote work because it helps us create a more diverse work culture and also create more infrastructure to help a wide range of uh, struggles that employees are going through. This being said, one of the ways is to utilize Microsoft Teams if you're using that in your workplace where you have established quiet times. Now, what a quiet time is, you set aside 1 to 3 hours where you are not to be disturbed. No one's to talk to you. Nobody's to ping you. Nobody is to do nothing. And it makes a little message in there that says, I am on quiet time and not to be disturbed. If you have a question or comment that is a non-urgent issue, please email. So that way you can go and deal with it later. There's also those who are calling, which can, in the remote workplace, be very distracting. And in those times that you have set for your quiet times, you are allowed by management to turn off your ringer, to turn off all the notifications. In asking for this, you are creating a quiet space where you can really focus. You set alarms to go off at specific times, when to start and when to stop your quiet time so that you're getting the most productive time out of yourself and for your team. And also helping to reduce stress that can be caused by the distractions. Now, from the manager perspective, this is a great trick, but it has to also include from the management side, reaching out to your team and seeing how they prefer to be contacted, whether they prefer each individual prefers to be contacted as an emergency via instant message, email, call, etc. Because this differs from age group to or generational group, culture, gender, etc. In fact, Forbes actually did a great article this year in March about employee generational preferences with regards to the digital experience, where they discussed a lot of these topics, such as more boomers and Gen X's prefer a phone call and prefer to talk to a person, where millennials prefer video calls or an email, and Gen Zers prefer an instant message or text as opposed to any of the other formats for being able to communicate properly. It was also found in hybrid modalities and in-person modalities, even if a manager is utilizing these methods for communication. Gen Xers and Gen Zers prefer, even if they're in the office, they want management to come and physically come and walk to their cubicle and talk to them as a statistical preference. But again, you've got to communicate with your team and ask how they prefer to be communicated with and document it. So that way you are communicating as a leader in the most effective way to your team. It's not about making your team curtail to you. It's about you curtailing to your team. And that's a concept we all get mixed up. Basically, what we have been traditionally doing in business is, I love you, Harbaugh, but you're basically in business, we have been utilizing Harbaugh's strategy of making the team designed around the quarterback instead of the quarterback designed around the team. That only works with constant curtailing and a lot of work in finance to keep that team exactly the same and never changing, but it can get stale and hard to keep up. It's not a sustainable business model. You have to curtail your manager to evolve around your team, not the other way around. It is not feasible to do it the other way around in the long term. So in that, we have to look at what type of leaders we're looking at, how they're communicating, and see how we can implement these methods to be more effective in the workplace, whether you're in person or remote. And me personally, remote has been transformative over the 11 years that I've been working remote and in hybrid and traveling. It has been transformative for my ADHD, for my personal and emotional stress levels. It allows me to have a work-life balance like I don't know others who have anything better. It's just an honest truth. It has been transformative. I often can't figure out how people manage to be in person and balance a family and everything else that comes with that without ripping out their hair. Remote work is transformative, and even with the distractions that come with that, it is easier to manage when we have appropriate boundaries in place and we have leadership that understands their role as leaders. That's all I have for you for today. So, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. And remember, sharing is caring. And of course, always remember that remote, it's here to stay.